Buffy the Vampire Slayer turns 20 on March the 10th, 2017. Man, that makes me feel old. I was 11 when the show debuted, and it can probably credit it with being the very first show that got me into a fandom. I mean, sure, I'd followed other shows before and followed them quite closely. Shout out to Power Rangers, looking forward to re-embracing you on the 24th of March. But before Buffy, it was a childlike, fickle liking. Yeah, sure, I got the toys for Christmas and I watched most of the episodes of other shows on TV, but I didn't really feel any drive to seek out what wasn't put in front of me. That changed with Buffy. I wasn't watching as it premiered, though, in 1997. Mainly because I live in the UK, here, and back then, things took about a year to cross the Atlantic, and then only if you really had Sky Television, which we didn't at the time. It was a full year and 8 months before it was finally broadcast on terrestrial television, BBC Two to be more precise. And I had, by that point, heard some good things from some friends who did have Sky, and so I thought I'd check it out. And for the first time ever, I think, I had appointment TV. I actually made sure I was home, ready to watch every new episode every week. By the end of season 2, I'd started buying the VHS box sets. Yes, I said VHS. Yes, VHS did box sets. They came in 3 cassettes at a time. They only did half a season at a time, but they did them. They took up a lot of space on shelves, but they did them. I mean, by the time I got all 7 seasons, it was like a whole bookshelf was taken up. Buffy had me hooked. The engaging characters, the witty dialogue, the relatable problems wrapped in an envelope of supernatural evil, and all with a deep and ever-expanding mythology. It would take me several years to realise that this all came from the genius mind of Joss Whedon, who, I think, to this day has never written anything that I think is bad. It's also because of Buffy that I really got into comic books. I had heard that Josh had written a new comic set in the Buffy universe, but in the future, about a Slayer in the future. That comic was Frey, and I ventured for the first time ever into my nearest comic book shop to buy it. Needless to say, returning month after month to find out if they had the new issues in. There were quite a few delays. I also browsed the other comics that were in the shop and ended up buying some. I got into Green Lantern from just browsing it on the shelf, and Batman when a cover with a female Robin grabbed my attention. Skip forward to my uni years and I'm buying practically half the slate of DC Comics. May account for my lack of money during my student years. The Buffy comics continue to this day as an official continuation of the TV show, even with Josh being its executive producer and occasionally writing the odd issue. They continued with the season numbering from the show, so it starts with season 8 comics, and now they're in the middle of releasing season 11. If you love the show and haven't checked out these comics yet, please do, because most of them are really good. Has its ups and downs, but on the whole, it's definitely worth checking out. And it continues to expand that mythology, which I loved so much. Talking of the mythology, that's one of the things that really drew me in. This sense that there was this massive, big world, and it wasn't just supernatural things happening in this town. That there was this whole big, massive mythology to this world. Great world building on Joss's part. The other thing about Buffy is it came at the perfect time to capitalise on the rise of the internet. For the first time ever, we had the internet in our homes, in our schools, in our work, and the fandom really embraced that. There were forums and even AOL chat rooms. Yes, chat rooms were a thing in the 90s, dedicated to Buffy and her spin-offs. And that fan community has kept Buffy alive to this day, because without those fans buying those comics and keeping up that community and that enthusiasm alive, we wouldn't still have new stories set in the Slayerverse like we do. Now yes, Buffy has been taken over by Doctor Who in my own personal rankings of fandom these days, but without that gateway drug of Buffy to lead me into the sort of adult geek world, I probably wouldn't have been primed to embrace the convoluted and gigantic history that comes with Doctor Who and its mythology. So happy birthday, Buffy. Here's to you.